Topics with Mr. Javadi. I'm your host, Payman Javadi, and we started with a song, which is a new one, right, Mr. Brian?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and mesmerizing. Go ahead.
That song was Take a Chance, and it's from the new Busboys album, In My Heart, which is.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Brian O Neal from that wonderful, wonderful band, the Busboys. Where does the time go, ladies and gentlemen? I remember Saturday Night Live. My goodness, I saw this band called the Busboys. First time I saw them, and I have never forgotten that moment. Never. They played "Boys Are Back in Town,"
Hmm.
which just is an amazing song. And all I can think of is I remember thinking, man, that's energy. That's energy, and it sounds positive. And so, but that kind of typifies, in my humble opinion, I think it typifies their routine, this band, their energy, and they're positive. But without more talk from me, Mr. O'Neill, what do you think? Does that about describe it, or is there anything else you want to add?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I
You
appreciate
bet.
it.
You bet.
Uh, Always like it when people are helping to propagate, spread, and share both our music and the music of others. Which is
Yeah,
great.
you bet.
I Yet yes, we are energetic and positive, so I'll take both of those as being things that we identify with, and I certainly. And we also have some humor and some uh, social commentary,
Yeah.
and then some heartfelt personal songs as well.
First of all, you as a piano player, you're amazing. What are your thoughts on the on the piano playing?
Well, again, thank you. I don't know. All I can do is nod my head and say thanks. Is enjoyed both. It was my primary instrument, and then I've learned to play some others through that. And it's often been described as a gateway instrument
Hmm.
because everything on a piano is laid out literally in black and white in front of you.
Yeah.
So you can see all the notes. So unlike when I pick up my flute and play, or even when I play the guitar, it's not as uh, available in a linear sense. Like again, you can just see the notes, one note, next note, one note, next note, and that allows you to have a visual uh, relationship with the music that you're playing, and that your fingers are laying into. So I've always enjoyed playing piano and still doing that. And as we're talking about it, it makes me think like when I get off this conversation with you, I'm going downstairs to do some playing.
The other instruments in that band, the guitar playing is phenomenal. Where does that come from? You want to comment on that some?
Well, I've been very blessed with amazing musician artists
Yeah.
who, when we first started, Michael Jones was playing synthesizer, and then, of course, my brother Kevin O'Neal played bass
Yes.
on the first
Uh-huh.
two albums. He's an amazing bass player, artist, singer, songwriter. The guitar player for our first couple of records was Mr. Victor Johnson,
Yes. Yes.
and Vic is a well-known virtuoso. You know,
Virtuoso. Yeah. Yeah.
he really is. He's one of those guys, like Eddie was, Van Halen. I put him in that class of people. He's an excellent guitar player, and um, played with us for a good while, and then held down the chair with Sammy Hagar for many years.
Okay. Interesting.
So, and then Gus Lounderman sang and entertained and danced in the band, and he was actually the first person I ever asked to be in the band when we were called Brian and Things. That was a band that I was the leader of, and that Gus
Since
was in,
yeah.
and Kevin was also, prior to us turning into or changing our name to the Busboys.
Okay.
So Gus Launderman was there all the time. Then our original drummer was Steve Felix,
Okay.
who was out of the Wilmington area, and amazing drummer and a great guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Unbelievable.
that was our original.
Um, so let's get back to the piano for just a moment. When did you start playing and
Well, my godfather
hmm
um, used to have a piano, and
uh-huh.
sometimes my parents would drop me off over their house, godfather, godmother's house, and they would watch me, babysit, whatever. Now I was like 3, and he had a piano, and I would go up to the piano. I could just barely get up over it and play a couple of notes. And when my parents would come pick me up, I would say, come here, let me show you this. And so I figured out how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb or some kind of little ditty on the piano. And they said, that's nice. And
Yeah.
then later on, when I got to be about 5, that's when I asked my mom for a piano. And just the story goes, because the story's true, but I asked my mom, I said, Mom, I really want a piano. She looked at me, she said, Brian, I know you do. She says, but pianos are very expensive.
Yeah.
And she says, and if I buy you a piano now, that might you may like it for a few days, and but then you'll want a bicycle and some skates or something else. And I said, Mom, you're right. I will want a bike and skates, but I'll still want the piano.
hmm
And she looked at me for a minute like, huh. And so she and my dad were nice enough to get me the piano. And I started taking piano lessons, and I also took some what they call eurythmics, which to me is it was a almost like a music theory class for young kids, and that started it. And then I took some piano lessons, and I would take piano lessons for a while and learn some things there. But then I always played by ear and played songs I was coming up with, even when I was 6, 7.
hmm
I kept doing that, and I'm still doing it. You know, people ask me about the I don't know kind of fame, but the music business part of it, the
Yeah.
movies, the television shows, the tours, all that's real fun, and I enjoy performing. But
Yeah. You bet.
I'm into it for the music, and
Yeah.
the songwriting and composing. That's another very special thing because I always say that what I'm doing when I'm songwriting, I feel like I'm scoring my
Mhm. Yeah.
emotions, thoughts, ideas. So, and it doesn't matter whether I'm writing a song like "There Goes the Neighborhood" or "Boys Are Back in Town" or something that is more tender or whatnot. I have a song. One of my favorite songs on the new album is called "Maybe." A little bit of a departure from what you might think of
hmm
from the Bus Boys standpoint of if you listen for the just pure rock and roll of it. But I always say I'm a Beatles kid, so
Oh, okay.
your songs aren't all supposed to sound the same. I just go wherever the inspirations take me.
But in the 3 interviews I listened to, which were wonderful, very informative, it sounded like you really, really admire your parents, which I just absolutely love, and that they really played a role in your formative years, which I want for you to comment on. The other one would be since comment on their teaching and what how that played a role. If you would.
Like you get into my real wheelhouse now. I I love and admire everything about my parents. They both um, moved on,
hmm
but they were so great. Um, I say to you, I say, I've met many men who are taller than me, faster than me,
Yeah.
richer than me, look better, all that. I've never met a man more blessed than me. And I
hmm
count my blessings as the things that have been given to me or that were bequeathed to me that I had nothing to do with. I didn't
Wow.
I
Wow.
didn't choose my parents. I didn't do anything. I didn't work harder, study harder for better parents. And I
Yeah.
had the best parents on the planet. Um, Mary and Joe. I am a son of Mary and Joe O'Neal.
Wow. Wow.
And they were educators, both by profession and as people. I think educators who are in it because of the passion for education and for sharing, that's a calling just like being an artist of any kind, you know,
Yeah.
sculptor,
Yeah.
musician, or a painter, or a poet. And so they were always sharing with me and with my brother. Uh, and it's a thing that I mean, I wish everybody could experience it on certain level. Many and some other people have. But they did that with us, and then they did it professionally. Now, professionally, they were primary school educators.
Okay.
And they decided to do that and stayed doing that because they always felt that it was the stage of life where they could make the greatest impression upon
Mhm.
students and people. And I have people and have had them all through my life come up to me and said, you know, they say, your dad was the best teacher I ever had in my life. I mean, he showed me how to learn, how to
Wow.
take, how to pull things apart and look at them in a certain way. And then my mother was also, you know, brilliant at what she did, and she became a consultant after she got out of the classroom, but still working with primary school children. And I used to go to their classes sometimes as the visiting son of the teacher, and they had very different teaching styles. My mother was very much into linguistics and having people write and talk and tell stories and learn their proper usage of the English language. My dad approached things almost like a college professor in a way. He discussed subjects and then he would have everybody break up into these groups and they would need to discuss amongst themselves.
Wow.
And it wasn't so much about saying exactly what the book said. What did you think about that? He wanted to know what your thoughts and what were the differences between your thoughts and maybe somebody in your group or two groups different thoughts. And he wanted a discussion about that. And I remember now this he was teaching a fourth grade class, fifth grade class. I can remember that some of his administrators had some issues with that approach.
I see.
They wanted him to just listen, just have them read the book, remember the facts, and take the test.
Yeah.
And my dad was saying, yeah, I can do some of that. He said, but that's not what they're here for. That's not what your mind is for. And I always appreciated his insight and the different approach that he took to education and how much both of them were passionate about learning.
Wow. God rest their souls. God rest their souls. That it makes me want to go to their class, um, and just watch. Do you have any audio or video of those days, or not really?
I I don't,
Okay.
or if I do, I don't know where they are. Good pictures
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
great
That's
memory.
awesome.
Not as many recordings, but I'm sure there are actually a bunch of things buried here in the house that I don't even know about.
Oh, that
And
would be for me. That would be lovely. I would because I love other teachers and I love listening to lectures and stuff.
now, I did not elect to become a professional teacher,
Hmm.
obviously.
Hmm.
Um, I have given some master classes for some things in New Hampshire, for some things, and done some here in LA as well. But those are my emphasis as well, trying to help people think about
Yeah,
things. It's not
yeah,
just
yeah.
the memorization of information.
No.
Uh, so again, I'm very thankful and appreciative of my parents and their approach to learning, education, and the spirit of sharing of information.
Wow. Wow. That's just amazing. That's just amazing. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank God for that. Now, moving forward, the school years, did they play a role in shaping your musical ambition? Did you have teachers that helped you? I mean, the parents obviously played a big role, but were there programs or teachers that helped you along the way?
Well, not so much in school. I was not in band, wasn't in my band classes.
Yeah.
And so that's not where I learned from. I did have some really wonderful independent teachers, though, both teachers that taught piano, some classical piano and whatnot,
Hmm.
um, and not as much of that, but some. And then I had some great jazz and overall musical teachers, theoretical teachers that I worked with over the years. There was a music store called Blaylock's. We grew up in an area called Carson, a city that my parents actually helped found. And
Oh, wow.
in at Blaylock's, they had what, four different teachers. They had a drummer, and then a guy who taught guitar, and then a guy who taught a multitude of instruments, Ray Murphy, vibraphones, guitar, piano, um, and Don Alton, and some people. So I usually studied with everybody a little bit over years, over a few years, and uh, I gleaned a lot of great information from them. And everybody has something to teach you. See, if,
Yeah.
if everybody who's been doing it for any amount of time has something to teach you, and even people who haven't been have things to share with you. I used to be able to say I would walk around the neighborhood that was close by my junior high school when I was, I don't know, ninth grade, and I could take a bag of potato chips and a orange crush soda and go sit in front of a garage and listen to a garage band play for hours. I could learn just from them what they were doing. And I still feel that way. Whenever I go listen to any other bands or things, or I'm listening to the radio and I just hear such great inspirational music from people. People have different things on different instruments, different ways of writing, different ways of singing, um, the syntax of what they're saying, their spirit, and all that gets communicated in your music.
Yeah.
And, so
Yeah.
not so much formally from my actual school, but I just took a lot of classes and or had teachers with private teaching, and then I used to study myself all the time. And I just go in my room with the albums that I really liked, singles and the artists, and I would just listen and listen, and I'd take some notes, but I would learn. I learned how to make records in many ways just from listening to great records, from the Beatles, from all the Motown stuff, from the Stones, then going into Zeppelin and Hendrix, and a lot of R&B things, from the Isley Brothers to, I say, like the whole Motown canon, which is,
Yeah. Yeah. Which is huge. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so many talented musicians and
Yeah.
arrangers and
Yeah.
producers that worked on that material. It may have been, the band might have been the Four Tops, but
Hmm.
the producing and the approach to all of it and the recording was handled by a very strong group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned quite a bit and still continue to from Stevie Wonder. I
Oh,
always bug Stevie and tell him he's responsible for
oh man, he is so incredible. Yeah, I love him. I
what
love
I've
listening
done.
to. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes, Stevie, and
yeah.
then I was a big Sly Stone appreciator of Sly and the Family Stone and
Mm-hmm.
Sly's work as a musician and arranger and producer. And then Larry Graham, who had been in his band, started Graham Central Station, and I liked that band quite a bit. But there's Paul Simon, Simon and Garfunkel, just tons and tons of really great music that I got a chance to participate in the listening of. And see, I can listen as a fan and just, you know, bob my head and listen and feel it that way, or be emotionally affected maybe by the song, or at times I can sort of pull it apart and uh, do some analysis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, if any of my former kids are listening, and if any present kids are listening, students, this man did not mind listening, learning. He did not mind observing. He did not mind studying, and he didn't mind discipline. Is that about right?
Yes, and I'm still pretty much that way. See, I can remember whenever I would see
Yeah,
a really good piano player or organist or any great musicians, a lot of the piano players, I just walk up behind them, just stand behind them, just watch, you
yeah.
know.
See, that's
And
incredible. Yeah,
one of the things that I've always loved about music, and maybe you could say this about art as a whole, but music in particularly, good musicians will borrow from and be informed by any. If a
yeah,
musician hears something that they can really use, they go, "Oh, let me listen to that." And what was that? Show me that. And that has always been one of the ways that music has provided a highway, not just an information highway, but an exchange highway. You see, so
yeah,
music was and still is a leader in civil rights exchanges, and black people and white people have been exchanging different parts of music and different things since the beginning. And that's how we ended up with the wonderful scope and uh, difference and depth of music that exists now.
beautiful, beautiful. Well said. Well
Thank you.
said, Professor. Professor, well said. Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
I'm sure my mother, if she's in heaven, says, "Are you sure you don't want to go be a teacher?"
Yeah, well, I would say in a way you really are. I sense that. But anyway, moving on. So you started your first rock and roll band, Brian and Things.
Yes.
That was in '74, or was it pre that in high school? How was it?
I'm reminded that I have been saying 74, but it was actually in 73. My
'73.
one of my first band members.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was we played cover material, mostly R&B
yeah.
cover material that we did, and then I wrote some songs that we did as well. And I remember we started playing in my mom's living room, like many bands, It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
and my parents had a garage that was full of a bunch of boxes, and teachers can
Oh,
collect,
I've heard that one. That's beautiful. Go ahead.
tons and tons of stuff in there. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I talked them into letting us move some of that stuff out because they weren't using it for to put cars in. It was just a bunch of things, and so we started rehearsing in the garage. And I can remember too that my parents got new carpet for the living room,
Yes, yes, I heard that. Yeah.
and I said, well, can I have the old carpet? He said, what are you gonna do with old carpet? I said, I got a plan.
Yeah.
So I took the old carpet, put that in the garage, put a drum set in there, and set up the amps and the things and the stuff. And my parents were kind enough to have bought me Fender Rhodes 88 stage piano and a Shure PA system. Now I'm really saying all this stuff. Everybody, you have to use your Google machine. Um, but that and some microphones, and we would just practice. I'd play. I used to have band practice on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from like about I don't know 6 until 9 ish. Um,
Wow. Wow.
and then on some days we would have vocal rehearsals after that. We go in and
Yeah.
vocal rehearsals. We go into the kitchen and just sit around the piano and no boom bop bam bam. I mean, the guitar player would play, but very low volume, bass player, and we would um, sit there and sing. Because I always believe that the singing part of it needs to be able to be heard and distinguished apart from the musical part, not because they're not equally as important, but you really need to work on your intonation and your breathing and your things that go with your singing. And it's hard to do when the bass amp is turned up and the guitar amp is turned up. So, but I would do that. I still have we even when we're not practicing for a show or something, I still have rehearsals here at my place a couple of times a week where we sit around the piano, myself, Mark Palmer, and Mr. Claude Woods, who's a brilliant singer, songwriter, and addition to our band. We, the three of us, will sit around and just go through the songs. And
Wow.
if I have new songs, we'll try different things. We'll try some new harmonies. We'll try different things, um, and we love fellowshipping together as well because we are of the same, at least same age group. And a lot of times, men, I don't know about every man, unless you're in the army or on a football team or something like that, you may not get as great a chance to share with other men
Yes.
things.
Very important. Very important.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we do that, and I still sit around practicing. People ask me sometimes. They say, "Did your parents make you practice when you were?" That's like make me. It's like the silliest thing I ever heard of in my life. There's no making. You if you want it, go get it. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
used to say, well, so you could give me an instrument, a chair, and put some food inside the room now and then and close the door. I'll never come out.
Yeah. Well, no, no. I mean, you're just speaking reality. That this is what's really needing to be pronounced. You worked at it. You worked at it.
Yes, and but
And
if
yeah, yeah,
they say if you find something that you love to do, you
yeah,
know, then you never really work in a day in your life.
yeah.
It's
That's true. That's true. Musically speaking, as we go on down the road here, songs, "Boys Are Back in Town." We'll start with that. How did that come about? How did you write that? Was that just one day, a half hour, like I've heard sometimes, or was it a period of days where you came up with that song?
or sometimes years.
Yeah,
Uh, that particular song sounds like one of those things that you used to hear about on MTV or VH1. I
yeah,
We had been on tour and we came off tour and we were at home. We live in Los Angeles here,
yeah,
and I had been asked to be, or asked if we wanted to be in this movie, and I met with the producer Joel Silver,
Mm-hmm.
and the director Walter Hill, and they had listened to New Shoes.
New Shoes, yeah.
Okay. And that song was already on the American Worker album that had not come out yet when I got the call.
Yeah.
So they really liked that song. They said, we need 4 more songs that are somewhat in this area for this scene. So they gave us a little budget and said, you go demo some songs for us and show us what you can come up with.
Okay.
And so we had done the other 3 songs, and I had one more song I had to fill in order to complete the demo contract.
Yeah.
Okay, it was an assignment.
Mm-hmm.
It was late one night. I mean, it was after 1 o'clock, and some of the we had already been in the studio playing and the demo studio, and we had to do this at one more. So I said, guys, before you leave, you got to do one more track for me.
Mm-hmm.
What? I said, it's going to be something very simple. I'm going to open up with a gospel lick. Then we're just going to go 1, 5, 5, 1, then the 4, but then a 2/5 turnaround. But I didn't describe it like that. I just played on the piano like it's going to go 1, da, 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 da. And they looked at me. Everybody wanted to go home. Pizzas were going. He's like, Brian, stop already. I was like, just give me this one track. And when I said track, the music, right? So we practiced. So we played through, and we did it the one time. We played, and this is how it goes. Boom, 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 boom. And they said, "What's the name of this opus?" And I said, "I'm fishing." I said, "It's the boys just come are coming. But the boys are back in the town."
Wow.
I didn't have any lyrics, nothing. That was it. So I had the track. And that's not the way all songs work. Usually I have lyrics and things, and I've gone through different changes and tried different stuff. Not this one. And I remember we were riding out to go do a gig. Might have been out at the Coach House in San Juan Capistrano. I remember we were riding, and I would put sometimes when I was writing lyrics, if I had a track already and I wasn't finished or I was still working them out, I'd put it on the music on a cassette, play the cassette, and ride along and figure it out. So I took that title, "The Boys Are Back in Town," and I wrote the lyrics on the way to the gig. And then
Wow.
later, I came back a couple of days later, went back to the studio, and I recorded the lead vocal track, and then we put some backgrounds in at the chorus, and that was it. It was I don't want to say that. It was not the most important, I'll put it this way. It was not the most important one of the songs that we'd written, you know? I didn't think it was like New Shoes, nor did I think it was like, we had another song called 48 Hours, and Kevin wrote a song called Love Songs Are for Crazies, which is a brilliant song. So we've done these songs, and that song was just included. It was the last thing I put on the tape because, as I said, complete the contract. And I remember they listened to everything and they said, okay, yeah, good. This is good. We can work with this. And later on, we went and did actual recordings, went into a studio and did real recordings. I remember when I played the songs for Bud Scapa, who was the A&R guy who found us and discovered us and brought us to Arista Records. He listened to that song, Boys Are Back in Town, and he says, he listened to it, and he says, that song has something to it. It's just a little simple song, but that's kind of good. And I thought to myself, I said, geez, these A&R guys, they think they know things. I was like, that's just It's just a go away song. Just that's just to make sure I get paid song. And we ended up doing it in the film, and it turned out to be this uh, our, your one of our signature songs, if not the signature song for the band. And that was not the intent of it at all.
Well, I was gonna say the rest is history. I mean, you just did a phenomenal contribution to the world of rock and roll on that song. I just love that song.
Thank you.
But there's just there's more uh, to this than meets the eye.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you do need to do your research, and I speak to myself. I got to listen more. But new shoes. How did
Yes.
that come? How did that come about?
Now, see, New Shoes, again, which was a prototype that was the thing that got us hired for the movie and had been done before the movie was even, there was a movie. Uh, I have always liked um, blues and gospel playing. That style of playing, and that I still do, and people think of the with my left hand that don't to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
was sort of a hybrid of sort of rock and roll and gospel. My interpretation of that,
Yeah, you bet.
and you know, I listen to, as I said, Tony, a lot of jazz, and there are a lot of great piano players that I listen to. Oscar Peterson and Art Tatum, right up there at the top of the list, and then Stevie
Mm-hmm.
Wonder and Sly Stone of it, and a lot of other great guys. At any rate, so I had incorporated already prior to even having written that song many things from those people, and Billy Preston. Billy
Oh,
Preston. I knew a lot of Billy
wow.
Preston's work from his work with Sly, but
Yeah.
he was an amazing uh, piano player and organist, and had a lot of the gospel feel things that I interpreted, the plagal cadences and that. So I have been playing in that style myself, and
Already.
yes, already. So I started. I worked on that song, and then I wanted something fun, upbeat, and reflective of our minimum wage rock and roll mentality. Uh, and I was like, I'm going. Let's take it more towards this other thing. And I just sat around and was fortunate enough and blessed enough to come up with New Shoes. Um, yeah,
So
that's
that's
what
great.
I
That's great. What about minimum wage? How did that come about? And I'll.
first album was a really great thing. And again, I say I'm a Beatles kid,
Yeah.
but I have been listening to during that time period, Cars, the
Yeah.
band The Cars,
Yeah.
Talking Heads,
Yeah.
um, some Devo,
Yeah.
and a number of people and things. And that music was in the air in the early 80s,
Yeah. Yeah.
in the 78, 79, 80. And I was introduced to just a genius level manager, Mr. Roger Perry.
Mm-hmm.
And we were still called Brian and things. And some of the songs that ended up being on the minimum wage album had already been written. Um, Doctor Doctor, D-Day, a couple other tracks.
That's fine.
Several of the songs had already been written before while we were still Brian and things. And when I got with Roger would had so much to do with we have discussions and talks, and my whole identification with African American uh, perspectives on what I would say starting at the bottom and working our way to the top, but from a positive perspective. I understood um, the Black Power thing, the Panther part of it, the aggressive part of it. I understood that too. That really wasn't where I was coming from and where my parents had done. My parents had been very adamant about making progress in a social, political, um, financial perspective, socioeconomic perspective. But they were doing it through education,
Yeah.
persistence,
Yeah.
and an identification with taking pride in whatever it was you did, so much so that you could lift yourself and your people and the cause up at the same time.
Yeah, you bet.
Martin Luther King, I'm misquoting, he says, but if whatever you do, do it extremely well. If you're a street sweeper, you should sweep streets as Michelangelo made paintings.
Beautiful.
See,
Beautiful.
and
Yeah.
so the identification with that is how I came up with the name of the Busboys. I thought of, true enough, we had all had some kind, not all, a few of us, some kitchen help, but that really wasn't it. I thought of Pullman Porters,
Yeah.
who, again, use your Google machine. Uh, Pullman Porters were some of the first jobs that Black people had across America that were very good paying jobs and facilitated some middle class movement that was not non related to necessarily an education, more related to your ability to work and be of service. And I wanted the porters, no, but bus boys. There it is.
The
And
idea, the idea of service.
yes, well, that formed another layer of things for the band and for myself as a songwriter producer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I wanted a song that we could collectively sing that sort
Yeah.
of espoused that. So that's how the song Minimum Wage. I work in the kitchen from 8 till 10, go home for a minute just to do it again. How
Yeah.
can I find peace of mind? I'm not even living on my own time. When something's done wrong, what can I say? Someone could send me back home today. I make the minimum wage.
Yes.
So it wasn't just about any one race of people either. I was born and raised here in California. And the we've had a long history of mix of people racially
Yes. Yes.
doing menial jobs, or if not even menial, minimum wage jobs,
Right.
and that being a gateway towards bigger and better things.
You bet. You bet. Love that. Love that. Couple of questions, and then unfortunately we'll have to wrap it up. Of and you brought, I'm Iranian American,
Oh,
and
okay.
six of my teaching years were on the Navajo reservation.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
um, I look at my job as that of just not. I can look for prejudice if I want to, but I don't look for it.
Mm-hmm.
I look at opportunities and I try to grow. And I sense you're the same way. You look at opportunities and you grow with it. If you would speak to that a bit.
You'll be hard pressed to find a person who is any more supportive of the American ideal, and then the country that is continually working up to represent that ideal.
Yes.
Now, that's Not to say that it has been well represented in all cases or many cases, or that it's not to absolve, ignore, or in any way discount uh, inequities, prejudice, historical issues, socioeconomic issues, judicial issues. There are plenty of issues, but the founding thoughts
Yeah.
makes me emotional. Say the founding thoughts that were not only a part of the culture, but they wrote them down as the law.
Yeah.
There's, there's no other nation
No other.
in the history of the world that has written it as any part of their major thought process that everyone should have the ability to pursue happiness. All men are created equal. It doesn't say that anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not to denigrate anybody else. And I'm not saying that I don't understand it hasn't actually been that.
Yeah.
I don't have to go into it. We know, and it's still a work in progress. But no, at least that is the ideal. That is what the standard is, and you have as much a commitment, I feel, as if you're an American, to not only point out what things aren't quite working or that, but to, man, get in there and do your best to help those ideals be realized.
Exactly. 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 No, I
I
love it.
I say each of us being alive is a blessing to start off with, and being alive in America, oh my goodness, are you? We're all on the planet 100 years more or less. What are you going to do with your 100 years?
Exactly.
What and uh, how are you going to improve and or contribute to the fabric of this great ideal?
That is no, that is pure and it's wonderful and I absolutely love it. Okay, this has been running through my head. I don't know where I read it, someplace I read it or saw it, but rock and roll. Okay, there's Britain, there's Ireland, there's Canada, there's US. Great musicians, great talent from everywhere, from ACDC to Foreigner to Rush, and all of these people. So it seems to me, and I'm not trying to play the race card because I don't do that anyway, but it seems to me that it is looked at maybe as the white person's music. And yet I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, did you forget about Jimi Hendrix? Did you forget about Billy Preston? Did you forget about Aretha Franklin? It is huge with the black influence. Am I reading this right or am I off? What do you think?
Well, no, you're you're spot on. Uh, the Busboys are one of the things I like about the band.
Yeah.
It's musically, the influences borrow from and use and acknowledge much of the entirety of the musical influences that have shaped rock and roll.
Yeah.
Now, one of my master classes, and maybe I'll come out where you are sometime. Uh,
Okay.
I talk about that. How much of this started from the black influence on the black side of it here in America. So, but it started with black influences from the slave trade. You see,
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
there's the rhythmic thing that out of Congo Square and whatnot, and then there's always thing I always say, but there's call and response. There's field house. What you gonna do now? Oh yeah, Lana's gonna say, oh yeah. Okay, so that back and forth. Pick up the bottom sound. Oh yeah, set up. Oh yeah. All right, that's the start of it.
Yeah.
And then blues songs started to have some of that same thing. And much of that came out of the gospel side of it because the one place black people could express themselves uh, and even have some interaction was at church. Yes, Friday and Saturday night, then
Yeah.
play at church on Sunday in the music. And then there's the country influence out of it too. You see, and this is again about musicians will use anything from any place. You see,
Hmm.
so country music vibe and some of its Celtic influences mixed in with some of these jump blues things.
Yeah, that's right.
Then you get you get your get in that kitchen, rattle me some pots and pans. Get into that kitchen, rattle me some pots and pans. All right. So you got that thing going, right? And
Yeah.
then Chuck Berry
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah.
comes and takes his guitar work with Johnny's band and takes some influences from some Texas music and bam, then Maybelline, why can't you be true? Maybelline, why can't you be true? Okay, the
Yeah.
beginning. That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
ground zero. That's like the
Yeah. Yeah.
cosmic microwave background. That's like bam, and then that goes over to England and the Beatles and what they're doing, and they come. I mean, because those guys used to like search this stuff out religiously and play it there, and they turned it in. They took their spin on it, and they also were so melodic. You know, one of the things that I continually admire and am influenced by was the Beatles' sense of melody. Paul and
Yes.
John.
Yes. Yes.
So you mix all those things together, and then you get to other things. All right, but that's sort of to me that's like like Little Richard said before me and Chuck there was nothing but chicken and eggs. So there you go.
No, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Oh man, but you ought to start the Brian O'Neal School of Music. This is just unbelievable. I
That'll be
would attend.
scary.
I would attend. I would attend that college. But anyway, that is, oh man, that what a bunch of knowledge there, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as we wrap up, being if there are some kids, 11th grade, 10th grade, ninth grade, you remember those years. They're
Yes.
watching you. They're watching you, and they just bought their first guitar. They just bought their first piano, and they want to be you one day. What's your advice to them?
Oh, again, my first thing is to start off with an attitude of gratitude, and
Oh,
you really have no matter what it is you have or you don't have, because nobody comes out of the womb doing anything. Here now, if you've gotten far enough to even want a guitar or want a piano or want a bass, um, you're already in a blessed position. Okay.
oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
So then you have to just move on and grow with that. And everybody has a different path to get to wherever it is they're going and what they do. And um, if you can get a chance to play and do or sing or arrange or appreciate and decide this is something you want to be a part of, come on. The fabric of history and life and music needs you because you really only become great at it by you deciding that you're going to dedicate enough of yourself, your talent, and your time to make it happen. So, welcome to the club. We're all happy that you're here and take pride and joy with your learning, with your sharing, with your humanity, because it's really, again, whatever things you get out of it in terms of monetary things, that's not the reason to be in it.
Oh man, that's gold. That's gold.
We like I say, welcome, and I'll be looking and hoping to hear from all of you at any time.
Oh man, oh Mr. O'Neal, that is wonderful. That is wonderful. Um, I love looking for lectures on YouTube. I'm kind of strange in that way. I listen to lectures and stuff, and I was kind of hungry for some of that. And you, my goodness, you took care of that. You took care of that. As well as a great musician. You're a great, great lecturer. Love it.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah.
Uh, I thank you so much for finding me, and I may go ahead later on this year something and do a series of some short classes and things for people. I realize now that I've been extraordinarily both blessed and gifted and have talents now, and I have some experience, and I'm okay with sharing any and everything I know. Anybody that's doing it through music or art, God bless you. Uh, and you got my support, tell you that.
Well, thank you so much. And if folks want to reach you in some way, how would they do that?
Okay. We got a website, busboys.com, which is very cool,
Yeah.
but it's going to be cooler. I have to invest more time. If you want to reach me, you can go out to the website, to busboys.com. And my email address is contact@busboys.com. And I actually do better on my Facebook and IG feeds. And if you
Okay.
send me a message on Facebook or whatnot, I see those all the time.
So, Mr. Brian O'Neal, thank you. God bless you. Thanks for all that you've done for music and for the world of creativity. Just, just a wonderful, wonderful human being. And thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Payman. And I encourage people to go listen to our recorded works. We're on every platform. Our newest album, called In My Heart, is one of our best works, but they're all good. Everything has something to offer, and we put craft and time into it. And I appreciate people supporting and listening to us hugely.
Absolutely. You bet. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.